Okay. So, what I'm doing here... One second here. I gotta check something because I think last night something didn't work right. Okay. Okay. Check something because I think last night something didn't work right. Okay, that seems to have been resolved. Okay. Okay. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate all of you and all the support that all of you show me in any which way, shape, or form that you show it. What we're gonna do here is just, well, here we go. I kind of had been running through this. Dealing with this thing for, like, I don't know. I blame Norton. I'm pretty sure it's Norton, but I don't know for sure what it is. I do not know what it is. So what happens is every now and again my controller will flash like it's disconnected and then reconnect again, right? Now, it's fine because it reconnects immediately. But it's not fine because then the software I'm using for this game, I have to reinitiate the freaking controller. Now, when I do this thing for real, I think I'll just, well, I'll do one of two things. I'll either sit in front of my computer and just use the SNES controller, or maybe I'll move the computer into the living room and then use the SNES controller. One of the two. So I don't have to deal with this problem. But, so I had previously been using an Xbox 360 controller, wireless Xbox 360 controller, okay? I've got a wireless dongle for it. No problems, right? It's all good. And, the same problem would persist, right? So just randomly, with no rhyme or reason, with zero I mean, totally zero. It's just, it seems to be completely random and completely arbitrary. Sometimes it'll go for hours without it happening. Other times it'll happen 2 or 3 times in an hour. So I do not have any idea what's causing it. I can only assume that it is Norton or some other software on my computer does something which causes a disconnect with the controller, because the Xbox 360 did the same thing. I'm using an Xbox One controller, like the first original Xbox One. I have a dongle for it. It's wireless, you know, whatever. But the fact that both the Xbox 360 controller and the Xbox One controller are suffering from the same issue, on top of that, the dongles are using different USB ports. So I can almost certainly rule out that it is a hardware issue. I can't definitively say it's not a hardware issue because I do not have concrete evidence to say that it's not. But I will say that I am very, very, very I'm all but certain that it's a software thing. And I don't know what other than Norton would be so random as to I just don't know what would cause that. Like, what would cause a disruption completely random? It doesn't matter what time of day. There's seemingly no I can think of nothing that would make any sense of it. You know, I've Googled the issue, and you know, Google, when it comes to like specific stuff like this, like what causes, you know, it doesn't know. It doesn't know. And then you can go to like, you can try going to like different chat boards and stuff, but it's not like a thing that there's a whole lot of discussion about, you know, because I don't know what the problem is. If I knew what the problem was, I could say, hey, you know, because the stuff that I find is like, update your drivers, update your drivers, It's like, dude, no, the drivers are fine. I can only believe that it's some program on my computer is disrupting that connection for some reason. I don't know what possible program it could be. No idea. No clue. None. Zero. The only thing that makes the most sense to my mind, just thinking of it, is Norton. Because Norton does bullshit stuff. And when I go into Norton, they're like, there's just not a whole lot of options for settings. You know, previous versions of Norton, you know, you had a little bit of control. You know, you could go in there and kind of, you know, change things around to your liking. These days, you know, everything's done for morons, you know. Everything's automated. You don't get any kind of, you don't have control. It's like an automatic transmission in a car, right? You know? It's vastly inferior to a manual transmission. Like, on almost every level, an automatic transmission is inferior to a manual. You have less control. You have less control over your vehicle. And, you know, it's really only good for the lazy individual who just has no interest in actually driving the car. They just want to sit in the car as it takes them to a different place. They don't want to drive the car. They just want to ride in the car. You know? So the automatic transmission allows for lazy people who just want to ride, you know? They don't want to drive, they just want to ride. And for me, it's like, no, I want to control my vehicle and I want to drive my vehicle, thank you. Like, that's what it's for, you know? Alright, let's see here. Let's give this back to you. And what's next? Mog? I think it's Mog. Pretty sure it's Mog. Sorry for being so pissy, it's just that, like, how do I say this? I am currently choosing to I'm choosing to deprive myself of a mechanism that improves my quality of life. There are a number of reasons for this. All of which are 100% bullshit. But I guess the way I see it is the only way I can see it to justify my decision, but I guess I believe that making short-term sacrifices will reap long-term benefits that will justify the short-term drawbacks, whatever. Why the hell am I grabbing that hyper wrist? I don't need that hyper wrist. I should have gone up when I exited the basement there. Alright. So next would be restructuring the party. Alright, so I make a new party, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's it. Make a new party. Okay. And then from here we go... Okay, and then next I think would be best if I just simply went over here. And okay. Dude, come on, dude. So, there you go. There you go. Oh, come on, man. I'm really sick of this whole... Dude, not again, dude. Okay. So, yeah. Can't do that. I'm really, 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 really tired of redoing this segment. It's I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life right now that I'm just really tired of. And I can't think of a solution that will solve all of the problems. Well, okay, on the bright side, money will solve my problems, okay? So if I had a big, humongous suitcase of cash, all my problems would be solved. So that does mean that I am blessed. That does mean that my life is actually pretty good. Because if all the problems in your life can be solved by something as simple as money, then you really don't have that big of problems in your life. Because there are a lot of people out there that have severe problems that money can't solve. So there's that. And I've got a lot to be thankful for, but I'm just sick and tired of this crap. You know? It's like, it's never ending bullshit. I guess most of it comes down to having to. So I'm just a nonconformist by nature. But if you saw me at the local grocery store, you wouldn't notice. You wouldn't realize that I'm a nonconformist. I would look most likely like a very generic person, so you would never tell, or you'd never notice by, that I'm a nonconformist. Usually, nonconformists have like clothing or makeup or jewelry that, or tattoos, or something that makes them look very different than everybody else. And I guess I try to be able to look more like a chameleon, where I can fit in anywhere that I need to. But I'm a very much a nonconformist. I think most of the most of the rules put in place are they're for the lowest common denominator in a society, you know. Common sense doesn't exist anymore. You can't, lawyers can't use a word like common sense because it doesn't get them anything. It's common sense that if you have a Winnebago and you're going down the interstate and you turn on cruise control, that cruise control is not autopilot and you can't just go in the back and go to sleep. But when you have people that, I mean, I would assume that this woman actually believed that, or she wouldn't have done it. But, it takes a unique kind of stupid to be able to believe that that's what cruise control is. And then when your Winnebago crashes and you sue the Winnebago company and the court of law says, well, we don't rule on common sense here. You know? Common sense used to be a method through which natural selection occurred. You know? 300 years ago, if you didn't use your common sense, you might get kicked by a mule in your temple or in your torso. If you got kicked in your temple, you'd be dead on the spot. If you got kicked in your torso, you'd probably die from internal bleeding or something. There was a lot of natural selection that occurred because people lacked common sense. And I don't advocate for people to die, and I don't want that. I don't know. If you have enough money, you don't have to follow the bullshit rules that are put in place in society. You do have to follow general rules. Like when I say bullshit rule, I don't mean like don't murder somebody. Like that's not a bullshit rule. That's like come on, man. I mean, if you murder somebody, you're a bad person and you're a danger to other people. So, you're going to have to deal with those kinds of consequences regardless how much money you have. Or you should have to. You shouldn't be able to get away with murder if you have a lot of money. That's not cool. But little things like being forced to exist in a 9-to-5 world, or be dirt poor, Like my body doesn't function well in a 9-to-5 sleep schedule. It has never functioned well in that schedule. And for basically virtually my entire adult life, I've existed outside of that work schedule. But when I got to be in my 30s, I was like, well, you can't really make a whole lot of... There's no future. Unless you're in the medical profession, or you work some abstract situation. There just isn't any kind of real future for people that work second shift, I mean, if you want to work and work as a nurse or something in the medical field, you can probably function outside of the 9-to-5 because hospitals are 24 hours, man. But anymore, I mean, you're probably going to be asked to work a bullshit schedule anyway if you work in a hospital. They're probably... Or like if you work in a power plant or something like that. I live in the upper Midwest and there's like a lot of power plants around here, right? I mean, the closest one to where I live is probably... Actually, not that far, now that I think about it. I could probably get there in less than a half an hour. But the people that work in those environments have bullshit schedules because the people that run the places they've got to be sadists and sociopaths because they expect that their employees work 12-hour shifts, which isn't in and of itself isn't bad. But they're like, okay, well, this week you work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and then you have a week off, and then the next week you work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's like, dude, what the hell? I mean, that's so bad. That is so bad for your mind and body to flip-flop your schedule like that. Like, that's terrible. That's really, really, really bad. I would say that those people probably lose 10 years of their life. Like, if they do that for a career for their whole life, say they start when they're in their early mid 20s, and they work until retirement age, they probably don't have much life after retirement age. Now, I know that a lot of people, on average, because what's the average lifespan, like 80 years old or something like that? So if you work until you're 65, you probably only got 15 years left if you're lucky, right? Which isn't that much. But those people that work in those kinds of fields, they probably got 5 years if they're lucky, because working in that kind of schedule is so damaging to your body and mind. It's just terrible. Imagine like the like sick days that people have to use in that kind of a work schedule. It's terrible. Like my ex-wife, right? She had a medical background, and she did a couple different things while we were dating slash engaged slash married. But everything that she did had some connection to, well, except for one job that she had. Everything that she did was related, was a medical background, right? And so I think the job that she liked the best, um, her work schedule would be like, I don't remember exactly. Well, let me count here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think she would generally work something like 3 to 11. Something like that. 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., right? Which, in my mind, is like a perfect schedule. That's a really good schedule for somebody like me. That's really good. And honestly, when she and I were both working a schedule similar to that, that's when our lives were the best. They really were. That's a good schedule. I think she liked that schedule too. But at least once a month, and I suppose depending on, the way the cookie crumbled, she might have to do it twice a month, but typically it was once a month. I don't know how many weeks were in between or whatever, but she would have to work overnights on a weekend. I don't remember if it was both Saturday and Sunday, or if it was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or if it was Friday and Saturday. I don't remember, but she had to work overnights, which were just brutal because, she would go in at like whatever, probably like 11 o'clock, because that's I think when she normally would have been getting off. But she had to go in at 11 p.m. and then work until like 7 in the morning, which, if her normal sleep schedule was something where she went to bed at like 2 in the morning, um, staying up until 8 in the morning wouldn't have been as difficult for her as someone who, for example, would have been used to going to work at 6 a.m. That would have been worse for that individual. But still, she hated those overnights. She was always miserable. She was miserable the whole week leading up to that because she knew it was coming. And she was the kind of person that worried about everything and was, had anxiety and worry and fear, and almost always whatever it was that she was worried about never happened. It was almost, I can't even think of a situation out of all the years that we were together. I cannot think of a time where her fears came true fruition, honestly. As she would just create these boogeymen in her head and be terrified and worried and filled with anxiety about this thing that might happen that never ever happened. It's terrible. The only time, well, I shouldn't say the only time. The only time prior to going through my divorce that I ever really suffered from anxiety was well, when I was in my mid 20s, I dated this woman, first woman I ever fell in love with. Like, I wasn't really sure if I could ever fall in love. I didn't know what it was, you know. I was like, kind of bothered me a little bit. I was kind of concerned about it. But then when I, you know, did fall in love, it was pretty devastating for me. It was definitely the wrong woman. What the fuck is this? Level 42? Fuck this, dude. No. How the fuck? How does that work? You get crushed by the thing and you start all the way back here? I don't know. I'm done with this. I don't have